Hi everyone, so today we're going to be doing the double replacement lab. I just wanted you to see what the setup looks like. So we have here a piece of plastic. It's an old overhead projector film that we're going to use. It's just a piece of plastic and it's going to keep this grid right here clean. You're going to want to pause the video and you're going to want to make a copy of this data table right here. So this is basically how you're going to record your data. So if you'll notice, it's got silver nitrate, nickel 2 sulfate, barium chloride, copper 2 chloride, and iron 3 nitrate on the top there. On the left side, we've got sodium hydroxide, sodium phosphate, potassium chromate, and sodium chloride. And so you're just going to create a data table that looks like that. So pause your video and then record or draw that on a piece of notebook paper. All right, now that you have done that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting a drop of each of these substances into the space. So for example, right here in this box, I will put a drop of silver nitrate solution and a drop of this sodium hydroxide solution right there so that the reaction happens and I can record what I see. Nitrate solution in each of these 4 boxes. You can see what it looks like now. It's just a clear substance. So I'm going to add to it whatever is next to it in the next or on the side. So I'm going to add some sodium hydroxide. That's the first one. So I'm going to add 1 drop to that. You can see the sodium hydroxide solution is clear. So when I combine the two, let's see if you can see that. Did you see how it clouded up? And it's kind of a whitish color, so you can record that. All right, the next one, this is the sodium phosphate. Again, that is clear. When I combine it with the silver nitrate, you see sort of that color there. All right. Now be careful, this potassium chromate is already yellow. All right. So when I combine it with something clear, ooh, look at that. Big change in color. Kind of a rust color, maybe you would say. All right, and then if I add the sodium chloride solution, which you probably knew already is clear, when I combine that, you can see that also gets a cloudy color to it. Cloudy, pretty much white, maybe like a really pale gray or something like that. So now we're going to do the nickel 2 sulfate with those 4 compounds. Nickel 2 sulfate is kind of like a pale minty green color. You can see I put the drops there. You may not be able to see it super great on the video, but it is sort of a really pale green color. So, all right, so we're going to add the sodium hydroxide, which is again clear. Let's see what happens when I do that. All right, so not a huge change, maybe like slightly cloudy, but not anything huge, I would say. Next one, we're going to do the sodium phosphate. Sodium phosphate, remember, was clear to begin with. That one clouds up, definitely. Sort of a mix of that minty green and kind of a white color. I'm going to do the potassium chromate again. Remember, that's yellow to begin with. So when I combine that, not really a change. It doesn't get cloudy. It looks yellow, but that's because, of course, the potassium chromate was yellow to begin with. All right. And then the last one, sodium chloride, again, remember that was clear to begin with. When I combine it, doesn't really get cloudy. It might get less minty green, but that's only because, well, you're diluting it with the really pale or the clear sodium chloride solution. All right, the next one we're going to do is the column with the barium chloride. Barium chloride, you can see when dissolved in water, when it's aqueous, it's clear. So I put a drop of each of that in each of the boxes. So now we're going to combine again. Sodium hydroxide, remember sodium hydroxide, aqueous is clear. So let's see here. Doesn't really look like we've got much of a change there. All right. Next one is the sodium phosphate. We're going to combine that. Looks like clouds up there. Maybe like a grayish, really pale gray, cloudy look to it. Next one is the potassium chromate. Remember, it's yellow to begin with. Let's see what happens. When you combine that, that actually does get cloudy. We know the yellow color is probably due to the, initially adding the potassium chromate, but it does cloud up, so that leads me to believe there's probably a precipitate. And then the last one in this column is the sodium chloride. So we'll combine that. And I see absolutely no change. Just looks like a bigger drop. The next one is aqueous copper 2 chloride solution. Oh look, it's kind of got a bluish tinge to it. And so we put a drop of that for each of these, real pale because it's a low concentration. So I'm going to add sodium hydroxide to the first one. So here we go. Remember, sodium hydroxide solution is clear to begin with. And doesn't really look any different, didn't cloud up. All right, next one's sodium phosphate. Let's add that sodium phosphate to number 9 here. That one definitely clouded up. You see the cloudiness that formed kind of on the left side there. All right, next one, the potassium chromate. Ooh, yeah, that one clouded up. Seeing some precipitates being formed here. And then the last one, the sodium chloride. Nothing. Doesn't get cloudy or anything. All right, the last one is iron 3 nitrate, FeNO33, and that is, as you can see, orange colored, so I've got a drop of that in each of those boxes. We're going to add our sodium hydroxide solution. We'll add that. Let's see here. Doesn't really look like much happened there. Didn't really get cloudy. All right, next one's sodium phosphate. Didn't really look like it changed much. All right, next one, potassium chromate. It's the yellow one. Ooh, look at that. That's a big change. All right. And sodium chloride. We'll drop there. Sorry, I didn't have the camera on it, but not really any change there. Now we can go back. I will say this one looks maybe like it clouded up a bit. You be the judge. You record what you think is happening. So, all right. Once you've recorded your data on your data table, then you're going to start working on the back side of your lab sheet. That's, or the other lab, not the back side of your lab sheet. You're going to record, or you're going to answer the questions on the lab sheet that we actually gave you. And that's the one that looks like this. And we asked you specifically to do certain reactions. And so the numbers, see the 1, 2, 3, etc., those correlate with the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, etc. on this sheet. So that tells you which ones you're going to do. So your lab group has been assigned 5 of them to complete the entire question that goes along with that number on this lab sheet. Good luck.